You share about 60% of your DNA with a banana. No, really. If you trace the biological family tree back far enough, every living thing on Earth, humans, fruits, and fungi, shares a single microscopic ancestor, LUCA, or the last universal common ancestor. For centuries, people assumed there was some invisible spark, a magical life force or animal electricity that separated breathing creatures from inanimate rocks. But in the late 1700s, chemists started running rigorous tests. They measured animal body heat and carbon dioxide output, comparing those figures to burning coal. The math matched up perfectly. They realized that living organisms operate on the exact same chemical principles as dead matter. The final blow to the life force myth came when scientists accidentally created an organic biological compound, urea, the same stuff found in urine, entirely out of inorganic lab chemicals. No magical spark was required. If life is driven by standard chemical reactions, the hard line between a rock and a living organism is an illusion. To understand how non-living matter turned into us, we have to rethink what it actually means to be alive. The transition from dead rock to living creature happened over a 2 billion-year spectrum, crossing 4 distinct thresholds. The first was complexity. This graph represents the light spectrum emitted by distant starlight. By analyzing these glowing bands, scientists can identify the chemical makeup of deep space clouds. Surprisingly, they found amino acids and complex sugars out there. This points to the Panspermia Theory, the idea that the basic building blocks of life were delivered to early Earth by comets and meteors. You don't even strictly need space debris to get these ingredients. When scientists filled glass tubes with the gases of early Earth's atmosphere and fired sparks of electricity through them, biological building blocks started assembling on their own. But a soup of organic molecules isn't alive. To reach the second threshold, replication, those raw materials needed a mechanism to organize themselves and make copies. The charged surfaces of natural clay act like a molecular binding agent. They pull scattered organic molecules out of the primordial soup and force them to line up into highly concentrated chains. This chemical assembly line eventually produced RNA. Think of RNA as a primitive genetic hard drive. It can store information, and crucially, it has the ability to duplicate itself. So early Earth possessed the physical parts and the genetic code, but these naked, fragile strands of RNA were exposed to a chaotic, boiling environment. They needed a physical shield to survive. That brings us to our third threshold, boundary. When you wash your hands, soap molecules surround dirt and trap it. The fatty acids floating in early Earth's oceans did the exact same thing, naturally snapping together to form tiny enclosed spheres. When wandering, self-replicating RNA strands got trapped inside these protective lipid bubbles, the first true protocell was born. Replicating genetic code takes effort. To cross the fourth threshold, metabolism, these new protocells needed a constant external energy source from the surrounding environment. Deep-sea hydrothermal vents continuously pump out blistering, mineral-rich water. This extreme environment provided the heat and raw nutrients required to fuel those early cells. By crossing these 4 physical thresholds, complexity, replication, boundary, and metabolism, scattered cosmic dust had successfully assembled into a functioning, independent biological machine. Even with all those thresholds crossed, Earth was still just a planet of simple, single-celled prokaryotes. For nearly 2 billion long years, absolutely nothing else existed. It took one freak evolutionary accident to create complex life. A larger cell, known as archaea, swallowed a smaller bacteria whole, but instead of digesting it for food, the larger cell kept it intact. For decades, scientists couldn't explain how complex cells evolved, until biologist Lynn Margulis studied mitochondria, the power plants inside our cells. She proved that mitochondria have entirely separate DNA from the rest of the human cell. They are literal descendants of that ancient swallowed bacteria. This is endosymbiosis. The swallowed bacteria evolved into a massive power plant, giving the host cell up to 200,000 times more energy. With this influx, cells had the caloric resources to divide, specialize, and scale into branching multicellular life forms like plants and animals. Without that specific microscopic collision in the deep ocean, human beings would not exist. We are not animated by a magical spark. We are actually the final result of a multi-billion-year chemical chain reaction. We are self-replicating stardust, equipped with the energy to look back up at the night sky and understand itself.